What's up, guys? Lucky Locks here. Welcome back to another prediction video. This is going to be for LFA 127, Diaz versus Assis, and this should be a good card, man. Actually, only 4 fights on the main card now. Some fights have been falling off. I'm not sure if we'll get new replacements before Friday. It is currently Wednesday. We'll have to stay tuned and see about that one. But the 4 fights that we do have left are all very good fights. I'm excited to watch these and excited to break them down. So with that said, let's get right into the first one on the main card. First fight up, we have a catchweight bout at 130 pounds between two flyweights, Karlee Pangilinan and Wascar Cruz. And this should be a good fight. Pangilinan, this is the second time that we've seen him on LFA now. He came up on Gladiator Challenge and California Cage Wars, which, if you guys watch my channel, you know I don't think particularly highly of those promotions. To be frank, they're a bit weak talent-wise, but the level of competition that Karlee was facing there was just not good, to put it gently. But he is a good fighter, and it was just kind of impossible to tell how good until he took a step up in competition, and he took a massive step up in the form of Charles Johnson in his last fight on LFA, and that is about as big of a step up as you can take on the regional flyweight circuit currently. He was finished in the second round, but I felt he gave a pretty good account of himself still. Really excellent experience to have under his belt coming back to the cage now. I think he's in a good spot after suffering his first loss, taking away some lessons at this point in his career, and there's a lot to like about the guy. He has a 100% finish rate. 4 of those are knockouts. He has really big power at flyweight. Saw him land some big shots on Charles Johnson early in that fight. Really aggressive, good pressure. Also has 2 submissions as a pro. He was submitted, obviously, by Charles in his only loss. And Wascar Cruz is going to be standing across the cage from him here, and he got the short notice call for this fight. He's a 38-year-old fighter out of MMA Masters, 12-9 record, has had an up-and-down career, 2-3 in his last 5, but faced pretty good fighters in every single one of those fights, honestly, man. I mean, a win over Claudio Ledesma, that's a nice one, but he has lost 2 straight coming into this fight, however. Definitely will have the experience advantage here. He's a very solid regional guy. He's a good finisher as well, 75% finish rate. He has 5 knockouts. Doesn't have that same type of power or aggressiveness on the feet as Pangilinan, though, and I don't believe he's going to be as athletic as Karlee is anymore. 4 submissions for Wascar Cruz, but he also has been finished in 78% of his losses, and 6 times came by submission. So with Wascar Cruz coming in here on short notice on a losing streak at 38 years old, man, there isn't a ton moving in his favor in this spot. Pangilinan hasn't fought anyone that good outside of his last fight, honestly, but that was a massive step up in competition to be fighting Charles Johnson, and like I said, I thought he gave a good account of himself early in that fight. This matchup will still be a level above all of the previous fights he's had, but will definitely be a step down from that last one. I like Pangilinan to come in and pick up a win here in his second LFA fight. Next up, we were supposed to have Tommy Aaron versus Mktibek Orobe Olu, but unfortunately that fight fell off, so we're going to go right ahead to the next one, which is Arnold Jimenez and Josh Wang-Kim at bantamweight. So Jimenez is coming into this fight on a 5-fight win streak. He has been at 145 and 135 at different times in his career. Seems like majority 145, but he has fought at 135 more than once, so not really too concerned about that. Strength of schedule, though, has been pretty weak for the most part. Combined opponent record of 17-37. He did fight a 1-0 Vince Cachero way back in the day on LFA 13. Was finished via submission there. Has a win over Tristan Lindy, who is okay. That's probably his best win to date. Not much of a finisher. He usually wins by decision. Hasn't won via finish since late 2016. He has good pressure standing in the striking. He has a good jiu-jitsu game on the ground, good get-ups, can still be grounded by a good wrestler. Really don't see his opponent, Josh Wang-Kim, pursuing takedowns particularly hard in this one. I mean, it's definitely an option, but I don't know that that's going to be the number one option per se. Josh Wang-Kim is one half of the Twin Dragons with his brother John, if you're familiar with them or their Instagram account. He is a 15-1 amateur, 73% finish rate there. 8 of them were knockouts, and now has transitioned to the professional side of the game and is 4-0 currently with a 75% finish rate, 2 knockouts, 1 submission. And to be fair, we said Jimenez competition wasn't especially strong. Wang Kim's hasn't been, he hasn't had an abundance of super tough opponents yet either. He does have a lot more experience, however, also is a more reliable finisher. I feel like the upside for the finishing is definitely more in the favor of Josh Wang-Kim here. Striking wise, he's slick on the feet, will leave his hands low at times, but good footwork, good movement, great speed, great kicks. He's a great striker, but also has good submissions and good grappling. He has a good scrambling ability as well. I think we were able to see that a lot of that in his Cage Warriors fight. I think Josh Wang-Kim is a fun prospect, man, and he has looked great so far. I think he has everything he needs to win this fight, and I think he does it, and I think he looks good, so give me Josh Wang-Kim to win this fight. That's going to bring us to the featherweight co-main event. This is a good scrap here between Chase Gibson and Javier Garcia. Gibson is a 10-5 fighter. Not really super impressed with the competition level, to be honest. A lot of CXF, a lot of California Cage Wars. But in 2018, he got to step up against Javier Garcia. That's a good fight to have on your resume. He was defeated there, but good name to have. Then he knocks out an 0-19 opponent and then was stopped in the first round by 5-3 Horacio Gutierrez on Combate. So then after that, Gibson runs through two more guys with no pro wins and then finds himself on Dana White's Contender Series as a short notice replacement, I believe, and loses a decision to Tucker Lutz. Then after that, he's able to pull off a Darce choke win in his LFA debut against the then undefeated Ty Clark. That was a really big win, man, and that was kind of the win that has put him on this kind of a radar where you'll find him in, a co-main event of an LFA card, something like that. That was a big win for him, and that was just a good way to show that he can hang with good competition, And Chase Gibson is a guy who finishes fights. He has an 80% finish rate. Mostly guys who he should be finishing, let's be honest, but the fact that he's still doing it is always good to see. Lots of experience, 15 pro fights, also had a 5-0 amateur career, and he has 4 knockouts to his credit. Been on the receiving end of 1, but he's a tough guy. He's not easy to put away. He has 4 submissions as well. He's a really good wrestler, and I think that's going to be his biggest advantage here. I think he's going to be the better pure wrestler in this matchup. I do see him getting it to the ground at times in this fight. Javier Garcia is going to be across the cage. If you follow the LFA, this is a guy you know pretty well by this point, I have to assume. He's starting to really hit his stride now as a fighter. He was 4-3 and has gone 3-1 over his last 4, improving to 8-4. The lone loss in that span of time was to Bruno Souza, and that was for the featherweight belt in LFA, and Souza has since moved on to the UFC. He will actually be fighting the day after this card against Luis Saldana on that UFC card on the early prelims. So Garcia has won a decision over AJ Cunningham. That was a nice win. Finished Tim Tevez with a triangle. That's another really nice win, and won his most recent fight via decision in November. He has good output on the feet, has a little bit of everything there. I think he is a little bit better standing here, but not by a super wide margin. He has 5 submissions on his resume. All of his finishes have come via submission. Really good with the triangle. Good to get into the back for the rear naked choke as well. And he just has to make sure he doesn't get too comfortable on his back. That's a bit of an issue. Just a bit of a concern anytime you got a guy who is good off his back and is comfortable being off his back when they're facing a wrestler. You don't want them to spend too much time staring up at the lights. But at the same time, man, he is dangerous there, and we have seen him get wins from that position in the past. There are a lot of ways to break down a fight, man, and in this fight, I think that Garcia is a slightly better striker when this is on the feet. I think kind of in the transitional phases here, Gibson is the better wrestler, probably going to be the stronger guy physically, being able to take this thing down, but I think once this fight is actually on the mat, Garcia is going to have the edge. I also think Garcia has consistently faced very solid competition over his pro career. Right from the start, he was winning fights on Combate, has good names all over his resume. Gabe Green, Arut Bogosian, AJ Cunningham, Tim Tevez, Bruno Souza. Looked really good in his last win, and I like it for him here. Gibson in his last 2 outings has faced tough guys and picked up probably the best win of his career last time out in LFA. He's going to be feeling good here. He's going to be ready to go too, but I like Javier Garcia to win a close fight in this one. I just like his competition level. I like the momentum that he's currently building right now, and I feel like he's one of the better guys in this 145 division in LFA right now. So, gonna be a close fight. Give me Javier Garcia to win. Now we got a really good main event for the middleweight championship between Ozzy Diaz and Bruno Assis. This should be a really fun fight. I'm really looking forward to this one. Good matchmaking from the LFA here. This should be a banger in the main event. Diaz is a big guy, 6'4", 7-2 amateur, 86% finish rate there. Fought Dominic Reyes as an amateur. That fight did not go too well for him, but that was a really long time ago, and that's just a good name to have on your resume, man. Looks good to the eye. But yes, 6-1 professional now, 100% finish rate on a 4-fight win streak. Saw him on the Bellator prelims 2 times in 2019, 2 round 1 finishes. Made his LFA debut the following year and knocked out an undefeated Logan Woods in the first round. Won the LXF middleweight belt in his next fight a year after that, and he's now returning to the LFA cage for the second time to try and add another championship to his trophy case. He's a powerful striker, as you probably inferred. 4 knockouts as a pro and 6 wins, ended both of his most recent fights with knockouts, and it just takes this guy one shot to end a fight. That type of thing is usually trouble for Bruno Assis. Diaz is a dangerous grappler too. He has 2 submissions as a professional. He has 4 as an amateur. In general, seems like if he feels he has the advantage there, he'll go to it. On one of his Bellator fights, we saw him do a lot of clinching, a few takedowns without control, then finally able to secure position, able to get to transition to the back and get the rear naked choke. Really nice sequence once he got it down there. And Bruno Assis just doesn't seem like the type of fight where that would be in the game plan, though. To be honest, I really don't see Diaz trying to initiate a lot of grappling here. Bruno Assis, 12-5, but not your average 12-5 fighter, man. He's currently on a 3-fight win streak, was successful in his LFA debut last fight, beating a top undefeated prospect in Jalen Fuller. Had 2 round 1 submissions on Titan FC before that, and has faced a really tough strength of schedule. First loss was Paulo Costa. He lost to Vahitov on ACB, who was undefeated at the time. Went 3 rounds with Andre Muniz on Dana White's Contender Series. And his other 2 losses were Daniel Pereira and Aaron Jeffrey. So he does not lose to fighters who aren't at a high level. Fought in Brave CF, ACB, been on Dana White's Contender Series, LFA, Titan. He's facing the top level of regional opponents in most of his fights. Has a win over Jailton Almeida in Brazil, and we know how good he's looking in the UFC right now. Beat Rustam Kiziev as well. Assis is dangerous, man, and he has a 75% finish rate. The chin is the elephant in the room, right? He's been KO'd in 80% of his losses, 4 out of 5. 3 of those 4 came in the first round. Aaron Jeffrey stopped him, who isn't a really big finisher, but is a very talented fighter. So the chin does scare me here. But here's the thing. That's exactly what I said last time when he was fighting a guy like Jalen Fuller, who is a knockout artist himself. And to be fair, Bruno got rocked pretty damn bad in the first round, but he was able to battle through. He was okay, and he got the win. And he was actually able to rock Fuller back in the second round. But I just didn't like the way he was reacting to shots earlier in that fight. Doesn't fill me with confidence either, given his history. Grappling wise, though, that was a fight that he really took over in, almost finished it at the end of the first round. He makes it scrappy. He wears opponents down. He has excellent high-level grappling. 8 submission wins on his resume, which is really impressive. He transitions to dominant positions very well. Submitted Rustam Kiziev and has a judo background in addition to the jiu-jitsu. So you know what, guys? I agree with the line here. Is Assis more technically skilled? Yeah. Has he fought better competition? Yeah. I think it makes sense to have him as a short favorite here. However, I think over 5 rounds, Ozzy Diaz can find that shot and put him out, man. If Assis comes in here and takes some clean shots on the chin and survives, maybe his chin has become rejuvenated and I'll have to change the way that I think about him. But as an underdog, I think I'd rather be on the Ozzy Diaz side here, man, with that power. I feel like this is a fight that's going to be going Bruno Assis' way until it isn't. Ozzy Diaz is around plus 110, plus 115. I'm not sure that that's a line I'm really chomping at the bit to go play. Like I said, I feel like the line is fair in this one. But if you were forcing me to make a bet here, I'd be thinking about the Ozzy Diaz side as the underdog, man, with the power that he has in his hands and certainly with the history that we've seen from Bruno Assis, where he definitely can be put out, right? But this is a really close fight. This should be an awesome fight for the main event for the the middleweight title. Either way it goes, it'll be fun. I think I'm slightly leaning towards the underdog in this one in Ozzy Diaz. So that's going to do it for my LFA 127 predictions, guys. Thank you very much for watching. As always, best of luck with your bets this weekend, and I will catch you on the next video.